What's going on, everybody? King of Dragons 5000 here, coming at you with another figure review. Today we'll be having a look at the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Batman The Last Night on Earth Wonder Woman. And so here we have The Last Night on Earth Wonder Woman posed and out of the packaging. Before we take a look at the figure, let's actually take a look at what she comes with. She comes with one exclusive accessory, and that is her broadsword, which is a fairly nice sculpt. Don't like the plastic it's made out of. And if you don't want her holding it, it does fit into her scabbard. She also comes with the arms of the Bane Build-A-Figure, which we'll have a better look at when he's all put together. And as always, she does come with a McFarlane display stage. Other than that, we really don't get anything else with Wonder Woman. I think a shield or interchangeable hands would have been nice, but that's neither here nor there. So let's actually move on to her details. So here we have a closer look at Wonder Woman. Now, it's a really interesting figure, to say the least. Now, if you don't really like the design of the Last Night on Earth Wonder Woman, you're probably not going to like this figure, just because the design is a little bit different from what we've come to expect from Wonder Woman, especially with her hair. But looking at the figure strictly from a figure standpoint, she does do a lot of things really well. And one thing that they did a great job on is that face. That is a very beautiful face sculpt, and it looks really good. Those blue eyes are very piercing. Really do love her eyebrows. And then you see her tiara, which does go all the way around her head. I know it should connect in the back, but it does look like it kind of ends right there, but you can see almost like a little string going to the back. But yeah, it's a very beautiful head sculpt, and it looks a lot like Wonder Woman. Like, if this figure had a full set of hair, this would be a very beautiful Wonder Woman face sculpt, and that's a really good job. My only gripe is I'm not a fan of the shading underneath her cheekbones, although from the front, it kind of makes sense. It does highlight her face a little bit better, and it brings out some of the detailing, but I do feel like it's kind of jarring. I don't know, there's something about the shading on her cheek or at the jawline that I'm not a fan of. But overall, still a really great face sculpt. And I do like the fact they did paint and sculpt the stubble on her hair. She does have a mohawk, as you can see. Really do like the texturing in her hair. Again, if you're not a fan of this design, you're probably not going to like this figure. But this figure does do several things right. So let's actually have a better look at her overall costume. She is wearing a cape, which Wonder Woman traditionally doesn't wear a cape, but I know for a Rebirth they gave her a cape for some issues, and I really do like this cape. It is done exceptionally well. You can see all this really nice texturing in it. If there's one thing McFarlane knows how to do, it's capes. I think the only one I haven't liked so far has been the Todd McFarlane Batman. That cape could be a little bit better, but yeah, this is a very, very well done cape, and the texturing on it looks very nice. It looks like a naturally flowing cape, especially with all the wrinkles and line work in it, and it does appear that there might be some shading in it. It might just be a trick of the lighting, so I'm not 100% sure on that, but it does seem like there is some shading in it. And it looks really nice. I do like it. And even the texturing continues onto the inside. And I really, really like these holes right here. You can see it looks like it's frayed. They did a really great job just on the cape alone. And I have to commend them for that amount of detailing. That even the little tears on the inside look like they're actual tears. They don't look like just holes in plastic. So, having a look at her overall costume, it is somewhat of a traditional yet modern bikini style armor. You can see she just has the top right here with the Wonder Woman emblem right here, and the gold and the red. Doesn't carry down to her stomach, it's just right here at her top. And they did a really good job sculpting the armor right here. You can see the gold is nicely painted, and it does carry over to the back, so I do like that. Really loving the metallic red that they went with, and it's such a dark gold that it really, really stands out, and it contrasts nicely. We have some of that same gold right here on her bracers, which look really nice. Then we have her gauntlets, which are done in silver, because Wonder Woman always has silver gauntlets, at least she should. Really loving this particular style. They look really good, and it's so different from the dingy color from her costume that this stands out in a good way. So having a look at her torso, I don't know if you guys can tell, but there is a color difference between her stomach and what it should technically still be her stomach. And the reason for that is they cast her skirt piece in blue plastic and then they painted that flesh tone. I think what they should have done is just made these belts two separate pieces, have this go around her torso and then this part cover her hips. That would have been the best way to go about this, because the way it looks, yeah, you can see a difference here, and it looks a little bit weird, like maybe she should have another piece of articulation hidden underneath that. She might. I haven't gotten it to move, so I don't think it's meant to articulate. I think it's just the skirt piece overlaying the plastic right there. We do have a star on both sides right here. She does have a knife on this side, which is a little bit unfortunate because it's just sculpted on. We don't get an actual knife that can pull out. I think that would have been really nice. And then of course you see the scabbard that her whole sword does go in, which is textured really beautifully. They did a good job on that. A little bit of paint would never hurt, especially right here on where I assume these should be belts, so I think these should be brown. But yeah, overall still like the colors. It's not your traditional Wonder Woman costume, but it's still Wonder Woman enough. You can see she does have a wrap right here on her left thigh. We go down to her knees where she does have some knee pads where it does have some scrapes and some cuts in them, which is done in that same gold paint. And then of course we do have her red boots. Now unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, unlike your traditional Wonder Woman, she doesn't have the white line going down the middle, and she kind of has like these bands going around her boots. I don't know if they're supposed to be boots or if they're just bands, because we do have a completely different texturing for her shoe right here. Of course it is a wedge, which does make her a little hard to stand at sometimes, but overall still a great detailed figure. So with that out of the way, guys, let's actually get her compared to other figures you may have in your collection. Here we have Wonder Woman posed next to a Marvel Legends Cyclops and a DC Multiverse Superman. Here we have Wonder Woman posed next to a WWE Elite Scale figure and a Mezco 1/12 Collective Popeye the Sailor Man. And finally, here we have Wonder Woman posed next to a Lightning Collection White Ranger and a Star Wars Black Series Mandalorian. So with the comparisons out of the way, let's actually move on to her articulation. Now Wonder Woman here does have quite a bit of articulation, so let's run through it really fast. I believe she has a double ball joint here in the neck, although because of the way her hair is sculpted, the back of her hair will get in the way of going back, which is a little bit unfortunate, but she can bury her head into her chin really nicely, and we get some really nice head tilt, which is what makes me believe that's a double ball joint. Can we shift back and forth? Yeah, we can shift back and forth, so that is a symbol of a double ball joint. Haven't taken the head off yet, so I can't really confirm, but again, it feels like a double ball joint. She can turn left and right, although the cape kind of does get in the way, keeping you from doing a full 360, but you really don't want to do full 360s. Why do you want to kill your action figures? You don't want to do that. She does have a ball joint going into the shoulder, so we do have a slight butterfly joint. As you can see, it goes back and forth, pivots up and down nicely. Really good range there. Now, unfortunately, because the cape is a somewhat rigid plastic, her arms are a little bit hindered. You can get them to go up, but you can see the cape really does fight it and wants to keep pushing it down. Arms, unfortunately, don't go past the cape right here, which is unfortunate because they would have much better range if it wasn't for this cape. If this cape was a softer plastic and maybe removable, it would get much better range, but it can't do a full 360 as it is. We do have a bicep swivel hidden underneath this bracer right here, so that is good. We do have a double joint in the elbow, giving us much better than 90 degrees. Really do like that. We have your standard ball hinge here at the wrist, which goes in and out. We can rotate that to have up and down range, and then of course it does rotate on that peg. We do have a very generous ball joint right here in her torso, so she can lean to the side, leans to the other side, leans back, goes forward quite a bit, and of course we do have rotation. Both the knife sheath and her scabbard do rotate, so you can get those out of the way when posing, so I do like that. Again, I don't know if she has anything underneath her belt piece right here. It doesn't feel like she does, but she might. if it can move, it's stuck on mine. If it can't, I'm not going to force it. Her hips only go forward to about right there. They are incredibly hindered because she really doesn't use soft plastic goods. I mean, this is a softer plastic, but it's not as pliable as other skirt pieces we've seen. But this leg seems to go a little bit higher, probably because the way it's sculpted and the scabbard right here seems like this side is glued down a little bit more. She does have somewhat of a thigh swivel. We do have some nice inward rotation, but not outward rotation, which is a little bit odd. Hips do go out to the side, again a little bit hindered because of how thick the skirt piece is, and again one side works better than the other. I'm pretty sure it has to do with this scabbard right here, the keeping this leg from fully articulating. We do have a double joint in the knee, so it does go all the way up past 90 degrees, so I do like that little bit. We do have a ball joint here at the ankle, so it does rotate on that ball joint. We do have a hinge which does go up and down. We do have rotation at the foot, and then for some strange reason she has toe hinge, which really doesn't make sense because she's already on her toes because of the wedges. But anyway, that's Wonder Woman's articulation for you. A really interesting figure. Not everybody's cup of tea because it's not the traditional Wonder Woman, but it's still a pretty good Wonder Woman figure. So with that out of the way, guys, let's actually get her posed for my final thoughts, and then we'll wrap up this review. And so here we have the Last Night on Earth Wonder Woman pose for my final thoughts. And overall, this is a really interesting figure. I'm not going to lie to you. It's not your traditional Wonder Woman figure, so I know a lot of people might be turned off to this figure. But it's still a really good job on a particular piece of comic book history. I know Last Night on Earth isn't everyone's favorite comic, but there's things to like about this figure, especially in terms of detailing. The cape on this figure is beautifully done, and unfortunately the cape is also one of the biggest gripes I have with this figure, being that it does limit a lot of the articulation in the arm. If it had been a softer material, I think this cape would work so much better, and I can see a lot of people not liking this figure just because of the limited range in the arms. Another issue I do have with this particular figure is the sword. Now, as nice as the sword looks, it is made of a very soft, rubbery plastic, which is very bad for weapons. It doesn't even hold its shape very well. It bends really easy. It's just a terrible design overall. I think they should use a much more rigid plastic when it comes to swords, because it's just so infuriating that the sword looks so good, but it's such trash. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm pretty sure you guys can even see right here, it is warping in her hand, and that's just basically because of how soft it is. If it was a harder material, it wouldn't do that. But the sword and the cape aside, the detailing on her is fantastic, and the face is beautiful. They did a really good job capturing Wonder Woman from the Last Night on Earth. So if you really do like this design, or want a really interesting Wonder Woman in your collection, this is a figure I really recommend you pick up because it is done very well, and it is from a particular comic book. So unless you're a fan of the Last Night on Earth, or just a fan of Apocalypse Wonder Woman, you're gonna want to have this figure in your collection. Now, I was lucky enough to pick up mine from my local comic book store, so huge shout out to Asylum Comics for getting this out to me so I could review it for you guys. With that being said, guys, I'm KingofDragons 5000. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel. Go check out all my other action figure reviews as well as all my other DC Multiverse videos. Hopefully you find them informative. As always, if there's a figure you'd like to see me review, let me know down in the comments, and if it's in my collection, I'll definitely have a look at it. While you're at it, check out my Instagram account for new and exciting action figure photos, and as always, ring that bell to be notified every time I upload a video. Until next time, guys, I'll see you later. Take care, everyone.